Hi, Booktube. I'm following up my previous video discussing what I've recently read, what I'm reading, and a couple things I got in the mail um, last couple weeks or so. I finally finished up with Naomi Klein's On Fire, The Burning Case for the Green New Deal. It's a collection of writing she that appeared in various sources and also transcriptions from lectures or speeches she gave between 2010 and 2019. The book begins with a lengthy introduction, then into the BP Deepwater Horizon oil spill, and concludes with her reinforcing her arguments for what are you doing? That's Pumpkin. Reinforcing her arguments for the Green New Deal, which she tended to close each of her chapters out with, or pieces out with. The obviously ending in 2019, the book is just before COVID and everything that's happened since. So some of her arguments, well, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with her arguments. The reality of them was slim at the time. What? Slim at the time of becoming a reality. Since then, I we're too fractured. I don't see it happening. Still, it's an interesting read. Particularly like the chapter where she went to Rome to give a talk in the company of Pope Francis. That was really interesting because that's not something I would ever be invited to do. So it's always interesting to hear something that's well outside your own life there. Sadly, one of the things that's discussed in the books, I believe at the time was 2017, was the wildfires that were happening in Canada and her family's experience with that. And now here in just rolled into June 2025, many parts of Canada are on fire again. It's pretty serious. So not much changes, and it's kind of a thing you might think that the book's dated on environmental discussions, but it's really, in some ways, it's not, because not a lot has changed, and we'll hear from say a company like BP, and they're like, don't worry about it, we got it taken care of now. No, they don't. Not much has changed, and if anything, there's been so many rollbacks. Trump has then withdrew from the Paris Agreement, then we were back in it, and then we're back out, and one pulled back after another of environmental policies, and not good. So that's Naomi Klein's On Fire, worth checking out. I'm also reading Peter Ackroyd's Brief Lives of Isaac Newton. This is it's a slim volume here. This is a very interesting read. I don't, going into this, I mean, almost know a folklore version of Isaac Newton, so it's interesting to get a bit deeper. My only issue so far, about a quarter way through or so of the book, only issue there is that you kind of wish it was annotated, and a little bit deeper, but it's a book designed as basically a brief introduction to a very interesting person. Like one of the things I walking away with here is I can't imagine what it's like to have been or to be that intelligent. I mean, it would be insane to be as intelligent as Newton in 2025. I can't imagine what it was like in the 1600s. going into the early 1700s. He lived his life largely as a educated hermit in a way. You'd have to read a bit more about that, but very interesting. Also reading The Chaos Machine by Max Fisher. This is his book on social media and its impact on people and obviously society as a whole. I'm only about 40 pages into this, but it's gripping reading. Unlike Klein's on Fire, which is separate pieces, it's a bit choppy in terms of reading a book all the way through. It's not even necessarily, I suppose, designed for that, but that's the way I read it. The Chaos Machine. This is reporting. It begins with his reporting on Facebook and the things they've learned through almost accidentally through how the algorithm works and how people interact. The impact of the like button. Oh my gosh, it's pretty wild. And even one of the last parts I read here, one of the people involved in creating the like button thought it was important that all this be discussed now because we will have been the last generation to know life before the impact of that and social media in general. It's pretty wild stuff. We hear all the time in the news. It's like, oh, you get your you get your dopamine hit by the likes and this and that, but it's more than that, and it's actually quite sinister in terms of how that dopamine hit and need for social acceptance and all that, how that is just endlessly exploited and recycled and exploited. It's definitely interested in finishing this up. In the mail, I got The Gates of Europe by Ploki, I believe is that how you pronounce his last name. I read Ploki's The Russo-Ukrainian War some months back. It's really my first reading into any Russian or Ukrainian history. He's writing it as the war is unfolding, and which obviously is still going, and there was Ukraine just laid a heavy hit on Russia just the other day. In a Russo-Ukrainian war, if you're approaching that like I did without much knowledge of Russia or Ukraine, you might struggle some. I certainly did because I didn't know the land, the history and such. And in some ways he explains it, and in others he doesn't. He's coming at you as if you already know why you're there. Plus, he's also writing it with urgency, being that it's an ongoing war that he's very much vested in. Looking forward to reading this. I'm not quite sure when I'll get to it, but hopefully soon. And I think that's about. And for GarbAugust coming up, I picked up something much different here. Jackie Collins' Hollywood Wives, The New Generation. There's our author there. If you grew up 80s, 90s, you saw Jackie Collins books all the time. I've actually never read one, but I got this at a thrift store for I think 50 cents. Flipping through it, I just randomly landed on one line, and it was her looking at this character looking at her husband and just thinking, of all her husbands, he was the worst. She's just fed up with him. I don't know. That just cracked me up. Like pumpkins running around. That just cracked me up. So I'll try something a little bit lighter, a little different. Some of the books I've been reading have been on the heavy side. So gonna need to chill that out a bit. All right. Thanks for listening.